is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Sun.
For the next two nights at the Trop, it's a mini 2008 Rays reunion as the Dodgers arrive with former ace Scott Kazmir taking the hill tonight, along with franchise hits leader Carl Crawford, the dude J.P. Howell, and the architect Andrew Friedman, all sporting Dodger blue. The homestand continues from Tropicana Field tonight. The Rays have won 3 and dropped 3, and tonight move into interleague play. Former figure out there in the bullpen for the Dodgers, Scott Kazmir. This is game 1 of the 2-game set between the Rays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. Well, here we are. Not only are the Dodgers in town, but it's going to be an all left-handed series on the mound. Matt Moore gets the start for the Rays tonight.
Well, and if you look at these two starters in this ball game here tonight, coming off of tough luck outings the last time out. Matt Moore, let's start with him. That was against the Baltimore Orioles, and outside of one misplaced fastball to Joey Rickard, he was very, very good, continuing that trend from the beginning of the season. 7 innings, gave up just the 3 hits while striking out 9. Continues to be very good with all 3 pitches and the locations, working the fastball both sides up and down the zone to go along with the curveball and the changeup. For Scott Kazmir, it was against the Miami Marlins. A very strong outing, 6 innings, 2 earned runs. You'll take that. Problem is, his team gave him no runs, and so he lost that ball game 2-0. And you're going to see a different version of Scott Kazmir in this game here tonight. Used to seeing him as a power lefty with a hard slider, has kind of reinvented himself, and he throws just about everything out there at you, working the ball around the zone, trying to keep you off balance.
Well, these men in blue, the Dodgers, for them, at least some of them, it's old home week. And when we come back, Todd Callis will renew old acquaintances.
from the LA Dodgers dugout as LA takes on the Tampa Bay Rays here at Tropicana Field. Rays haven't won a game against the Dodgers since that 07 season when LA was last here in town. Not many players around the league wear the green of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays that are still active. In fact, nobody on the Rays' current roster, you have to go to their coaching staff to find guys who wore the green. Evan Longoria, the longest tenured Ray, came up in 2008. But there are 3 players on the LA Dodgers, plus the Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations, Andrew Friedman. J.P. Howe wore the Devil Ray green. Carl Crawford, Scott Kazmir, all part of that transition to an American League Championship team in 08. We talked to both Carl Crawford and Andrew Friedman about coming home.
Drafted by the Rays when I was 17, and that's pretty much all I knew. You know, they pretty much raised me. I had a lot of good times here. Adopted Florida is like my second home.
Obviously, walking in here today, a lot of really special memories, a lot of people that I still keep in touch with, and you know, we were able as a group to accomplish some pretty special things that will also always be a meaningful part of my life.
You saw the quartet, our Toyota Inside Look, as we are ready for baseball. They were a big part of the reason why the Rays put up a banner in 2008, and now they have returned as members of the Dodgers. It'll be LA and Tampa Bay, first of a 2-game series next on Fox Sports Sun.
We welcome you back to Tropicana Field. Matt Moore, 26-year-old lefty, heads to the hill for the Rays to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Rays have not seen the Dodgers since 2013. That was in Los Angeles. It's been 9 years since the Dodgers were here at Tropicana Field. Here is the starting lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Hernandez leads it off, the DH, Kike Hernandez, followed by Puig, Yasiel Puig. Adrian Gonzalez hits third, Josh Turner cleanup, Howie Kendrick, Trace Thompson, A.J. Ellis, Jock Peterson, Charlie Culberson. Culberson is at third, our shortstop, and he will hit ninth.
Well, taking the mound tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays, left-hander Matt Moore, making his 6th start of the season.
And here's Hernandez, first pitch of this game, and a little tapper rolling, and that's going to be a foul ball picked up by Casale in foul territory.
Let's take a look at Matt Moore's season numbers. In those 5 starts, the ERA 3.66. You like this right here. Just 7 walks in 32 innings to go along with 35 strikeouts. He's shown an improvement with command of all 3 pitches, and that has made him a very dangerous starter here for the Rays.
It's a ball. It's 1-1. One ball, 2 strikes. Hernandez from Puerto Rico, and he can play all over the place. Recently, quite a bit of time in left field. DH and out on strikes.
Well, and look at all the pitches too on Fox Tracks. Before we get to the defense, this guy's a notorious up hitter, and look how Matt Moore attacked him. Matt Moore, the fastball up for him has been a very good pitch, but he stays down with everything to Hernandez and ends up punching him out on a very good 2-strike curveball.
So the first man retired his Puig. Hitting 239 and a big cut on the fastball. Big uppercut right there. Strike 1. Two. On deck, Adrian Gonzalez. To get him on strikes there.
Some good sequencing here by Matt Moore, the first 2 hitters of the ball game. Let's take a quick look at the Rays defense and see how that's going to line up. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, we have Jennings, Kiermaier, and Souza Jr. And across the infield, third to first, Longoria, Beckham, Forsythe, and Pierce with Kurt Casale behind the plate.
Adrian Gonzalez. There's a strike to him. Three home runs for Gonzalez. He'll be 34 years old next week, coming off a 28 home run season last year. Could not catch up right there.
Some big swings we're seeing here early in this game by Dodger hitters. Puig, Gonzalez, even Hernandez in that leadoff spot.
Up out of the zone, and Gonzalez would not chase.
When he needs to be a very selective hitter. Remember him from over in Boston, uses the whole field very well.
Fouls it the other way. He's been such a great hitter his entire career. He's coming off an 0 for 20 homestand.
This entire lineup has been struggling mightily.
Yeah, when you look at both these teams overall this year, they've struggled offensively, and the Dodgers have been in the doldrums offensively recently. Roller to the right side. Beckham, the shortstop, on the first base side at second. 1, 2, 3. Go the Dodgers. Bottom of the first. Rays coming in to hit. Logan Forsythe will be leading off for the Rays as we take a look at the lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Brandon Guyer hits second, the DH, then Evan Longoria, Steve Pearce, Steven Souza Jr., and Desmond Jennings down the middle. Tim Beckham, followed by Kevin Kiermaier and Kirk Casale, top to bottom. That's the Rays lineup.
Well, let's look at the Toyota keys to success for Scott Kazmir. Number one, reverse the trend. The Dodgers have dropped Scott's last 4 starts, and in those 4 starts, he's averaging fewer than 5 innings pitched per start. So want to reverse that trend, and also kitchen sink. He lists his pitches: fastball, 2-seam, 4-seam, curveball, cutter, slider, changeup. You're going to see it all here tonight.
Logan Forsythe takes the first one, and that's in there for a strike. Fastball 89 to 90. And you'll remember when Kazmir came to the Rays from the New York Mets, a hard-throwing left-hander who at the time, from time to time, battled command and high pitch counts. But what an arm he brought to the Rays from New York. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Forsythe continues to be very effective out of that leadoff spot. You see, hitting .337. He's 10 of 21 against left-handed pitching.
And those are gaudy numbers here to start this season. Oh boy.
And he takes strike 3.
Well, that's how Scott Kazmir pitches now. Move the ball around the zone, in, out, up, down. Very nicely done there. Let's take a look at that Dodger defense and see how it's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left, right, we have Trace Thompson, Jock Peterson, and Yasiel Puig. Across the infield, third and first, Justin Turner, Charlie Culberson, Howie Kendrick, and Adrian Gonzalez, with A.J. Ellis behind the plate.
Brandon Guyer, and he takes the breaking pitch. Curveball in there for a strike. One and one. Kazmir 1-2 on the year. And he's hit by that pitch. Guyer, pitch coming in. And Guyer, for the 7th time this year, is hit by a pitch.
You know, Dwayne, we had to get to the defense so quick. I wanted to ask you for odds on chance that Brandon Guyer gets hit by a pitch tonight. He gets hit a lot, we know that. He gets hit by left-handed pitchers in an inordinate amount of times, already leading the league, almost doubling up Nelson Cruz. That was a no-doubter right there. It wasn't even close.
Not much leaning at all, just standing and taking it.
Would you see where his stride foot ends up? It ends up about as close as you could get to home plate, allowed, really, and he doesn't give up ground. So, listen, anything just off the plate has a good chance of clipping him.
Longoria takes a strike. Look at this pitch from the overhead.
I mean, it's right there. I mean, look how close that is. And so anything just off, he's not going to get out of the way of it.
Evan now behind in the count. 0-2. Well, Guyer figuring to get on base any way he can, hit his way on or get hit to get on. And he's impressed Kevin Cash, trying to find him more playing time. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Toward the left field wall. Couple of hops and off Thompson's glove. Guyer scores. It's a double for Longoria, and it's 1-0 Tampa Bay.
Well, that ball, I think, got in a little bit on Evan. That ball just kind of floated out there to deep left field. And Trace Thompson, who was pulled around a little bit, let's see, this ball gets in just a hair. but he hits it in the right spot, and then Thompson with a little misplay as he's going after this ball in the corner. As you see, as he tries to cut it off right there, that makes for an easy send on Brandon Guyer, and the Rays take an early lead.
12th run batted in for Evan. Now he's in scoring position for Steve Pearce. It's wide with a fastball, 1-0. Remember last year, Kazmir started the year in Oakland. Was having a pretty good year, went to Houston, did not pitch as well in Houston as Oakland. He was 5-5 with a 2.38 ERA at 18 starts for the A's, and then 2-6 with a 4.17 in 13 starts in Houston. Hot shot, that's a foul ball. When you look at those numbers, his command deserted him a little bit in Houston as opposed to when he was in Oakland. All of the numbers, his pitches per inning went up, walks ratio to innings pitched went up, hits allowed went up.
And you see what he features now. It's not the same power stuff as before. So command more important than ever for Scott Kazmir. If that takes a dip and goes south, you can expect the results to follow.
It's a 2-2 count. Dodgers signed him in late December, a big deal, 3 years and a lot of money. I think $48 million.
That's right.
One hop to third, grabbed by Turner. The throw to first in time.
Well, that's a nice play by Justin Turner there at third base. You're just kind of caught in no man's land. This line drive and just a little Olay backhand. Oh, yeah. He's joking around right there. You close your eyes and hope that that ball ends up in there. That's a tough hop. It's the kind of play that earned Roger Dorn extra push-ups.
Better make it. Steven Souza Jr. Good cut and a miss. Rays with a run home. Longoria on second. One and one to count. Ball, 2 strikes. Jennings on deck. Souza out on strikes. Rays get a run, lead 1. It's 1-0 Tampa Bay. right, Rays broadcast can make you a winner. Enter now for a chance at tonight's Rays Up to Win prize. The team autographed baseball and 2 Dex Imaging home plate club tickets. The winner's name will be shown live on the air in the 8th inning. Visit RaysBaseball.com/Rays Up to Win to enter. Go online now and register Rays Up. Justin Turner leads it off here in the second for the Dodgers. And the pitch is a strike. Turner, Kendrick, and then Thompson. Ground ball for the Rays shortstop Beckham. Long throw, and right there to pick it is Pierce. Nicely done.
It helps Bailey out a little bit, get it close, and let Steve Pierce with a little backhand scoop. Ball over in the hole, more difficult of a throw. Plenty of time, just a little bit short. They're helped out on the other end.
Now Kendrick, veteran infielder. You remember him from his time with the Angels. You saw his numbers. Boy, what a nemesis he has been through the years to Rays pitching. Missed the fastball to start this at bat. One and one. Into center field. Sharply hit by Moore. Couldn't get that glove down there in time on that sharply hit ball.
Well, he went back with the curveball. Previous pitch was a curveball that stayed up. He comes back with it. Look at Kendrick. Stayed down and threw it and just popped that ball right back up the middle of the field.
Well, he's the same apparently in a Dodger uniform. He was in an Angels uniform against Rays pitching.
Hey, anytime you have a guy that has an up the middle approach, up the middle the other way, there's a lot of hits to be had if you can stay within yourself. What we're seeing now really across the game are the big swings. Nobody cuts down with 2 strikes, and the strikeout numbers are through the roof because of it.
Nice pitch right there, taken for ball 1.
That kind of simple approach, cut back on the swing, use the middle of the field, could still be very effective.
Two and 0. Shot it deep into left center field. Well tagged and out of here. Trace Thompson squares up a 2-0 pitch and hits his 2nd home run of the year. Just about to say how good he's been against left-handed pitching in there tonight against Moore, and boy did he hit that ball a long way.
Boy, he creates a tremendous amount of leverage. Boy, you see it right there on that misplaced fastball. Great leverage, lift, and carry. And that ball, I still don't think it's come down. May still be stuck in one of the rings.
Yeah, we think it's the C ring. He really hit it out of sight.
He did. He really did. And that's been, that's been the nemesis of Matt Moore. If there was one thing, this is now his 6th start. He's given up a home run in 5 of them, and a couple of them have been difference makers.
One and one. Thompson's 2nd home run. His career numbers, limited numbers, but still career numbers, .316 against lefties with a slugging percentage almost .600. 1-2 the count on A.J. Ellis. Breaks down and in. Roller for Beckham. 2 gone. Two men home, 2 men out. Base is empty for Jock Peterson. Young center fielder. He had a great first half last year, made the All-Star team. Struggled in the second half.
He was held to just a 178 average with 6 home runs in the second half. As you know, pitchers, what they do, they find holes in the swing and weaknesses, and then they go about exploiting them. That's why you talk about this game being a game of adjustments, and he just never could do that in the second half.
A ball, no strikes. One.
It's such a big swing. A big swing, he lets it go, and when you have a big swing and you never really cut down on it, you will open yourself up to be able to be pitched to. There's just a couple of places you've got to stay away from, and that's what the opposing pitching staffs found out against him.
Well, that big swing got him 20 home runs before the All-Star break last year. He had 6 the rest of the year.
Oh, just watching him during batting practice, he was taking, you know, 3/4 swings, and the ball was out 20 rows. Amazing the kind of juice that he has, and it's the kind of juice that plays in any park, in any part of the park. Big part of the field power.
There's a shot deep to center. There's a big part of the park, and it's gone. Wow.
Yeah, there it is.
That's the power of which we speak. A 3-1 pitch. Turns the fastball right around and hits it out to center.
And it didn't take long. I mean, that was a missile. You get a count in your favor. He's looking one pitch, one spot. He got it.
So a couple of home runs by the Dodgers in the second inning, and it's 3-0. Charlie Culberson. He's playing shortstop. It's foul back. So the Rays are running the first, and the Dodgers jump back with 3 in the second inning to make it 3-1. Couple of long home runs by Thompson and Peterson.
Well, this offense has had a hard time getting things going. You mentioned how much they were struggling coming into this game. In their last 7, they were 1-6, averaging fewer than 2 runs a game and hitting 167 as a team. They are dangerous with the home run, though. They led the National League in that category last year.
Dave Roberts, their new skipper. Bob Guerin, his bench coach, alongside. Fly ball into right. Souza Jr. is right there waiting, coming in. 2 home runs, 3 runs score through an inning and a half. 3-1 LA. On July 3rd, 2006, Scott Kazmir tossing his first and only career shutout. He struck out 10 Boston Red Sox in a 3-0 Devil Rays victory. Kazmir on his way to a 10-8 season that year for the Rays. And in his time here, 144 starts, third most, and third in wins with 55. First pitch to Desmond Jennings is a strike. Jennings trying to shake an 0 for 20 right now. Moves it into the air. Peterson making a call, but now Puig takes it. Peterson peeled off a little bit.
Well, we see it all the time with opposing teams, and the Dodgers, they haven't been here in how long? None of these guys have played a game here.
Yep.
And if you don't keep your eyes on the ball here at Tropicana Field, and that's what Jock Peterson is talking to Yasiel Puig about, you've got a chance for those balls to fall in. It's a dangerous roof if you're not used to it.
Tim Beckham gets a start against Scott Kazmir. 2 for 6 in his career against him with a home run. He takes a strike. Rays got their run in the first when Geyer was hit by a pitch. Doubled home by Evan Longoria. Kevin Kiermaier on deck. Two. That one in there on the corner. We'll be chatting with the Rays manager, Kevin Cash, in between innings, middle of the third. And strike 3 called. A fastball catches Beckham looking.
That's the second time that we've seen that from Scott Kazmir. Got Logan Forsythe on a similar pitch. Get ahead with 2 strikes. A lot of times hitters are going to start looking middle away, and he's able to close them out with the fastball in, especially when you're talking about a guy that doesn't have the overpowering fastball anymore. The guy's just not looking middle in with 2 strikes, and he's taking advantage of that early on.
Kevin Kiermaier against the lefty. Ground ball hits the mound, skips through into center. And now Kiermaier heads to second. He is going to make it. Kiermaier, with that aggressive approach right out of the box, has himself a 2-base hit. And
you know what? I think Kevin Kiermaier, we see that from him all the time, but against the Dodgers here, they're not used to him. He sees that ball up the middle. He had in his mind from the very beginning. And you see Jock Peterson plays that like a base hit against everybody else in the league, and they're at first base, but not this guy. You take a lackadaisical approach to the baseball, and it's going to cost you 90 feet.
So the Rays suddenly with a 2-out opportunity. If Kurt Casale could come through. Pitch is upstairs.
Must have nodded off in that portion of the scouting report meeting.
Well, you wonder about that.
Yeah.
Because it's no secret now. He's been around long enough. I mean, he's fully accelerated right out of the batter's box.
And always looking to go too. His mindset is, I get a base hit into the outfield. You keep me at first base. You have to do it. The onus is on you because I'm going for a double. That's what I want. You're going to have to force me to stay at first base.
Kiermaier now with a half-dozen doubles. Longoria has 7, Forsythe 8. Upstairs, ball 2 to Kurt Casale.
now you get a pitcher out of the stretch, thinking about how he was just victimized by the guy's speed. Concentration has not been on Curt Casali the first 2 pitches.
Two and one. He's trying to take advantage of this opportunity set up by Kevin Kiermaier. A good cut on that fastball. He had a good pitch to hit right there.
He did. He did. And I'll tell you, he gets another one in that area, and I think you're going to see Curt Casali launch. And that little leg kick just missed it.
And the count is full. Casper has averaged about 18 pitches an inning this year, and that's up a couple of pitches per inning over last year. Fouled away. Pitched plenty of plate up a bit. Three-two, and strike 3 called in there on that inside corner again. A couple of called third strikes in the second inning. Rays leave a man in scoring position and trail 3-1. We go to the third, get in on the action. Exclusive on-field seating in the Papa John's bullpen box. Host your group of 50 to 85 in this private party area and make long-lasting memories. Reserve the Papa John's bullpen box by calling 888-FAN-RAYS or emailing group sales at raysbaseball.com. Limited dates remain for all the fun. There's a ball to Hernandez. Kike Hernandez leading off here in the third. Moore gets a strike. Matt touched 4. 3 runs on 3 hits, 2 of those home runs in the second inning. Two balls and a strike. Through the first 2, both these left-handers had 35 pitches, of which 23 had been strikes. So they're on the same pace. And pitched well off the plate, jammed himself, fouled it.
And really both of them not quite settled in yet. Obviously Matt Moore a couple of pitches out over the plate, victimized by the long ball. Scott Kazmir, the Rays have had a couple of opportunities off of him, cashed in once.
Ground ball, Beckham's been busy. His throw is right there to get Hernandez. So that's 4 assists. 10 outs recorded. Actually 7 outs recorded. And 4 of the assists belong to the Rays shortstop Beckham.
Well, they're going to try to victimize the guy who has not had consistent playing time. So he finally does get a chance to be out there and just getting peppered right now.
Here's Puig. It's under it. Skies it to center. Kiermaier takes care of that. Puig is 0 for 2 and the second out in the inning. And that will get Adrian Gonzalez to the plate.
Number 23, first baseman Adrian Gonzalez.
Gonzalez grounded out. Beckham was on the first base side of second base in the first when he made that play, and he's in that same spot this time. Ball 1. Gonzalez hitting .274 on the year. There's a strike call by Bob Davidson. Two and 1. Rays 3-3 on this 8-game homestand with these 2 left with the Dodgers. Line drive, base hit into center. Kiermaier lost his footing out there for a moment, but no problem taking care of that and getting it back in.
Adrian Gonzalez talked early in the game, his first at bat, how he'll use the whole field, cuts down right back up the middle, 2-out hit.
Yeah, his approach has been a classic approach throughout his career.
He's balanced at the plate. He'll turn on the ball in. If you continually pitch him away, he's not afraid to go into left center field, left field, and that's why he's the type of hitter you've got to continually mix your patterns against. If you get predictable with him, and usually doesn't go well for you.
Now Justin Turner with a count of a ball and no strikes. Turner was with Baltimore, spent some time with the Mets. Blossomed with the Dodgers a couple years ago. Big cut right there on a fastball. Originally in the red system, got to the big leagues with the Orioles. Short right, that'll be trouble. Base hit just inside the line. Gonzalez goes to third. It's a double for Turner. And with 2 outs, a threat by the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's one of those very frustrating hits to give up. A breaking ball that Turner stays inside of and just kind of fillets into no man's land. Just kind of lays it out there. No chance for anybody to make a play. It gives the Dodgers here two-out opportunity.
Yeah, and who's coming up but the Rays' nemesis, Howie Kendrick. He singled with 1 out to get things started for the Dodgers in the second. 3 for 10 in his career against Matt Moore. And is up here with 2 men in scoring position. So a key spot in this game already. Fastball taken for a strike. Fly ball, right field. Souza Jr. right there to make the catch. So a 2-out threat. And that's all it is, a threat. No runs, a couple of hits, and 2 men left on for Los Angeles in the top of the 3rd. Well, the Rays got a run in the 1st, and the Dodgers 3 in the 2nd inning. They used the long ball to get that done. And the Rays in the bottom of the 3rd going to have the top of the order coming up against Scott Kazmir. Appreciate this. You know, we've been talking really all year, and notwithstanding the Dodgers hitting a couple of home runs across the board in the game, where's the offense gone?
You know, hopefully we find ours really soon. I can't speak for other clubs, but I know our guys are trying everything they can to grind through it. It's been a little bit quiet. We've gotten some guys on base. We haven't capitalized on getting them in, but, you know, that can change really quick. One swing of the bat, a bloop hit here, a bomb there, and that all changes. So that's what we're anticipating.
Well, and to that end, the one guy bucking the trend, your second baseman, Logan Forsythe, the start that he's been off to. Tell us what makes him so dangerous at the plate.
You know what? He's disciplined. His confidence is probably through the roof right now, as it should be. He barrels up everything. You rarely see him swing out of the zone, and when you have that type of discipline and damage, you know, he can do damage to all parts of the field. He's really put himself in a special category.
You know, people wondered about him leading off. That was an idea that you and the Rays had. He wondered about it a little bit. Hasn't been a problem for him.
No, it hasn't. You know, the thought behind it was he was such a big hitter for us in our lineup last year. You know, we wanted to get him that extra 7,500 at bats throughout the year, but, you know, you battle because he had some comfort with that last year. You don't know how a guy's going to respond, but this first month, I'd say he's responded pretty well.
Kevin, thank you so much for your time right here in the middle of all this. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, thanks.
All right, well, we'll watch Logan Forsythe here and see if the Rays can get some offense going. Forsythe, Geyer, and Longoria. Our GMC big matchup. Logan Forsythe, the last 12 games, hitting .444. Takes a pitch for a strike. A little curveball there. Something that Kazmir doesn't throw a lot of, but has used that a little bit tonight.
Well, and early, too. You know, a lot of guys, you don't get too many hitters that are going up there looking first pitch curveball. So if you've got confidence, you can throw it in there for a strike. You could steal some, get ahead in the count. Very important for a pitcher like Scott Kazmir at this point.
And that's what he's done so far. Fly ball lifted into right. Puig going back. He's in front of the wall and just a step away makes the catch as his momentum carried him into the wall. That ball had some carry.
Yeah, listen, that goes back to hand speed. Logan Forsythe, you know, Kevin Cash talking about his discipline at the plate, not chasing, expanding the zone. But balls that are in the zone, he lets them travel an awful long time, and his hands are so quick, he's still able to generate power to the right side. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen him go deep that way, hit some shots into right center field, and that one not too far away from getting out of here.
Geyer out in front. He was looking for something with a little more speed than that, and the off speed had him way out in front.
Pitching backwards. Soft early, hard late.
Fly ball center field. This one for Peterson. 2 gone. Now that changeup, especially to right-handed hitters, Kazmir uses a lot.
Yeah, it's a good pitch for him. He showed good arm speed on that that changeup to Brandon Guyer, and that's going to be, you know, when you can establish that you're going to throw the fastball in and keep a right-handed hitter honest, and then the changeup away that seemingly never gets there and it's fading away from you, very effective combo.
Longoria doubled in a run in the first inning. Ahead of the count, 1-0. Evans now 5 for 14 with a home run against Casimir. Change up there.
Not giving in. You know, this is a guy that has had success against him, the ability to knock the ball out of the ballpark. So when he fell behind 2-0, he's just not giving in until 3-0. And then we're going to go with the fastball down the middle.
And most of the time, that 3-0 fastball doesn't have to be down the middle. Just close to the plate somewhere.
That is that's the closest to a given strike. If the catcher can catch it, then a lot of times you're right. They're going to give you that strike.
Ball 4. It's the first walk given up by Casimir. He did hit Guyer with the pitch. Then we'll get Steve Pearce to the plate.
Number 28, first baseman Steve Pearce.
Pearce grounded out third to first, his first time. First pitch strike on a pitch in there to Pearce.
Well, the last two pitches that Casimir's thrown, the pitch that walked Longoria, that one there, cutters. That's new. He's breaking this out here second time through the lineup.
Broken bat, little looper. That's going to drop for a base hit. A turn at second, but back in goes Longoria on the single into center by Pearce.
Well, a 2-out walk. What do they call it? A blooper and a blast. Why not? This ball gets way in on Steve Pearce, breaks that bat, but that ball just kind of floats there into center field, and the Rays with another opportunity here with 2 outs.
Yeah, and the strength of Pearce allowed that base hit. Otherwise, he's jammed in there strong enough to get it through and into the outfield.
You could hear the bat splinter from up here, so strong guy.
Steven Souza Jr. fouls it back. A fastball.
Well, that's how they attacked him his last at bat. He struck out on 3 fastballs away, a little bit of elevation, and going right back to it.
Ooh, a cut and a miss. Saw that pitch up. Out of the zone a little bit.
I mean, that's the new pitch. And he didn't even want it there. He wanted that ball in, but missed it a little bit. It still ended up elevated, middle of the plate, and effective.
One ball, 2 strikes. Granted. Well, the Rays have had been in scoring position in every inning so far. 1 run that came in the first. Oh, strike 3 call. Souza Jr. didn't like it. Rays lead 2 and trail by 2, 3-1.
run homer in the second. Trace is the younger brother of NBA superstar and the Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson. And I caught up with him before the game. As soon as I walked up to him, he said, "Is it about basketball?" I said, "Of course." But after asking a few questions about himself, I did ask, why baseball over basketball? If you don't know, his dad played in the league for 14 years, and Klay is going for his second NBA championship. Another older brother, Michael, is in the NBA D League. Trace told me, baseball was just always my thing. I guess I'm the black sheep. And he did admit that he wasn't a great three-point shooter either. He said he's happy he's on the East Coast for this game tonight because he's looking forward to watching his brother take on the Blazers tonight at 10:30, guys.
Well, he has distinguished himself tonight with a 2-run home run off the C ring in the second inning. It's the 6th home run here at the Trop. It's failed to land, hitting the C ring. A rash of those.
Well, a pitch out over the plate. A lot of leverage, bat speed, and carry. I'm still not sure where that thing ended up. I'll tell you what.
That one thrown into the dirt and bounced up and got Casale in the throat. And it's good to see him under his own power sit up. Well, always concerned anytime a catcher gets hit, but in that region you're concerned. It appears that he's all right, but being thoroughly checked.
Right up under that little protective part of the mask that juts down a little bit to protect the neck. Able to sneak in there, but looks like he's all right.
Now Ron Porterfield makes sure. Bob Davidson said, "Thanks for saving me."
You see Bob Davidson has that little piece that hangs down a little further.
Yep. And he's not giving that up.
No.
So the count is 2-2 on Thompson.
I saw a demonstration one time where his brother Klay Thompson shooting NBA three-pointers in the dark.
Really?
In the dark. Only 8 out of 10.
Oh, well.
In the dark. Pitch black. Like they turn the lights off, then let him shoot in the dark. But he had already computed with his eyes, everything else, touch, feel where he was. Let it go in the pitch black, and he made 8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, absolutely.
I actually wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't watched it myself.
It's out of play.
So I guess if you can't hit three-pointers like that, go play baseball.
Yeah. Well, he figured that one out. Everybody in the family playing basketball, baseball's his game. The fly ball, this one Kiermaier to his left and in, and makes the catch. First out in the 4th inning. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. A.J. Ellis, the veteran catcher. Which is a strike. Ellis catching Scott Kazmir tonight. Who's in there most nights with Clayton Kershaw on the mound. And handling Kazmir this evening. Here's the Dodger lefty. Check swing and a roller by the mound. But time and Forsythe throws out the veteran catcher. 2 gone. Clayton Kershaw had to win his own game. Dodgers had been struggling to score runs, and so he had to use his bat as well as his arm to win his last game.
They were on the verge of being swept by the Padres. They had lost 6 games in a row, and all he does is just go out, twirl a shutout, and drive in the only run of the game and win 1-0. That's like backyard Little League stuff that he's doing at the Major League level.
Peterson takes a strike. Peterson hit the home run to center field, a solo shot in the 2nd inning. Turned around a 95-mile-per-hour fastball and shot it out to center. Flinching a bit on the curve there, 0-2.
That may be the sharpest curveball that Matt Moore has featured here tonight. Buckled the legs there of Jock Peterson.
Ball, 2 strikes. Fired the fastball away, and it's 2-2. Full. Moore had a 1-2-3 first. Gave up 2 runs, 3 hits in the 2nd. A couple of 2-out hits in the 3rd. The teams have had runners in every inning except the Dodger first. 3-2 pitch. Oh, over its head it sails. As he ducked it, Peterson will head to first.
And that was a breaking ball there that just got away from Matt Moore. Watch it just come flipping out.
Number 6, shortstop.
Not able to get that out in front where you can spin it down and into the zone. A little early.
Now the hitter's going to be Chuck Culberson. Been with the Giants and the Rockies before his stop with the Dodgers. The Dodgers have 9 players on the disabled list. Quick throw to first. Peterson back in safely. They started the year with 10 men. Dave Roberts has had to deal with that. Really, the Dodgers have had a difficult time putting a consistent team on the field. Forget about performance, just consistently getting regulars onto the playing field.
And obviously that's going to hurt. The continuity not there, rhythm not there. The guys that have been able to be out on the field for the majority of the games are not off to the kind of starts that you would expect. So you throw all that into a stew and it comes out mediocre-ish.
Well, they've been concerned with that, with their offense. They won 92 games in 13, 94 and 14, 92 last year, finished first in the NL West. Under Don Mattingly, who wound up in Miami. Dave Roberts trying to reinvigorate this team.
And that's what you wonder too. You know, a lot of big contracts coming up to the last year or two. A lot of young players starting to come into this organization. How long will the window be open? 3 straight division titles.
tosses to Forsythe. They leave a man. We go to the bottom of the fourth. It's 3-1 Los Angeles. Baseball on Fox Sports Sun is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Bright House Networks. Visit BrightHouse.com. By your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. And by Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. When cancer strikes, strike back with CyberKnife. Desmond Jennings takes the first pitch, and that's a ball, says Bob Davidson. Jennings 0 for 1 tonight. Two and nothing. Two 1 count. Rays facing Scott Kazmir. Take the count to 2-2. Side. Well, Jennings out on strikes. It's the first out in the fourth, and Desmond continues to look to break that streak. Here's your chance to get a steal, Rays fans. Today's steal of the day featuring a special price for the game Friday the 13th. Press level tickets for next Friday's game versus the Oakland A's for $13. Available tonight only. Visit RaysBaseball.com/steal or call 888-FAN-RAYS for more information. Beckham takes the ball. There's a base hit through the hole and into left field. Beckham makes the turn. He'll hold there. So the Rays got another base runner in this inning with one out. They have a man aboard.
Well, Matt Moore's been able to keep the Dodgers off the scoreboard. That gives his offense an opportunity to chip away. Only down 2 runs. Need base runners.
There's one for you right here.
As long as he can continue to hold them, all you need is a guy on base. You get the potential tying run at the plate. And here's Kevin Kiermaier. Ball one. Rays have had 4 hits, a hit batter, and a walk. Kiermaier ran himself into a double in the second. Kazmir's win came in his first outing. He threw 6 shutout innings on just 1 hit against the Padres on April the 5th. Got the win 3-0. Since then, a no decision against the Giants, a loss to the Giants, then a no decision on the road against the Rockies, and a loss to Miami. Popped up. Third base side. Justin Turner after it and makes the catch for the second out. Coming out of that San Francisco game at Dodger Stadium on the 16th, he gave up 7 hits and 4 runs in 4 innings and had a problem with a sore left thumb extending up into his wrist, and actually had a brace for a while, but did come back on the 22nd, pitched 5 innings against the Rockies, gave up 4 runs on 7 hits. And then the last time out against Miami, just 2 runs in 6 innings and lost that game 2-0. It doesn't appear to have any issue with that thumb or wrist tonight.
No, and he's been mixing his pitches well. You know, we saw the second time through the lineup, he broke out the cutter. We've seen the changeup, the curveball, slider to Kiermaier. He also has been able to reach back on that fastball and get a couple 93, 94 when he gets to 2 strikes.
He's behind Kirk Casale. Well, Casale had a great pitch to hit in the 2nd inning and fouled it. We'd like to see him get another 1 or 2 of those. We're up in the count. Three and 0. Top of the order on deck. There's that 3-0 pitch. That's a strike. Close to the zone. Maybe a little piece of it.
It was basically the same pitch as the 1-0 fastball.
Back.
Beckham singled his way on. High shot, deep into left. This baby is gonna go. Well, he got that pitch. Belts a 2-run home run. And this game is tied. Well, he didn't miss it this time. 3-1. Kirk Casale hits his 2nd home run of the year.
Well, and you had a feeling, too, because he barely missed that one in his first at-bat. You're like, if he gets another one there, he's got a shot. He's got the count in his favor. That one is at the belt. And you talk about belting it. My goodness. New ball game.
So the Rays take Kazmir deep. Swing and a miss by Forsythe. Sixth home run given up by Kazmir. And we're all even at odd numbers, 3-3. Thinking 2. Piece of it foul. Earning another pitch. Last time the Rays faced Kazmir, he was pitching for Houston. In the middle of August last year, they got 6 runs and 9 hits and 5 1/3 innings off him. The Rays won that game 9-2. Forsythe fouls it, still 2 strikes. Five starts against the Rays, 1-4 with a 5.13. Upstairs. Ball, 2 strikes. Forsythe reaches out, sends a fly ball to right. Caught by Puig. Rays are out in the 4th, but a productive 4th. Kurt Casale tees off on a 3-1 pitch to tie this game at 3. On to the 5th inning we go. Three-three as we go into the 5th inning. Matt Moore out there to face the top of the Dodger order. The designated hitter Hernandez leads off. Takes a big cut at the high fastball, strike 1. Kike Hernandez has struck out and it's grounded out to short. There again, 0-2.
Well, he likes the fastball up, and so you give him one up. You see it on Fox Tracks how far above the zone they are. It doesn't matter. He's going to chase now in the hole.
One ball, 2 strikes.
Well, that's when you know you're playing around with a guy, when you're giving him what he wants. Elevated fastball. You just elevate it a little bit further, and he has a hard time laying off.
1-2. That ball just a little bit down. Count, check swing, and a foul ball. Rays start tonight third in the American League East. Boston up by a half game on Baltimore. Rays 3.5 back. That's going to be a foul ball. Longoria holds it. Dale Scott on the call down there. Toronto 4 back, and the Yankees 6 back at 8-15 starting play today. They're on the road in Baltimore. The Orioles have a 2-1 lead over the Yankees in the top of the 5th. Way wide, so after an 0-2 start now, a full count. Texas at Toronto, and the Rangers lead the Blue Jays 1-0 at the end of 4. And ball 4. So a walk to Hernandez after getting out in front of him to start the at-bat. He'll head to first, and we'll check in with Todd Callis.
Dwayne, in addition to the return of the 3 former Devil Rays, it's a homecoming as well for former Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations Andrew Friedman. What a career he had here in Tampa Bay before heading to the Dodgers. A young executive who allowed the Rays, a big part of the Rays, 4 playoff appearances in 6 seasons and 5 90-win seasons during that stretch. The acquisition of Ben Zobrist, a big part of it. The 2 Matt Garza trades, in addition to the #1 overall picks, David Price, Evan Longoria. Guys, Andrew Friedman took a franchise in the AL East competing with the Big Daddies with a low payroll and figured out a way to find the market inefficiencies and win with this organization. So it is nice to see Andrew back here. We wish him the best with the LA Dodgers, but Andrew's certainly a big part of the reason why those banners are hanging from the left field rafters, guys.
All right, Todd, thank you very much for that report. Well, that's part of the legacy he left here. Puig with a 1-0 count. He unleashed a big cut there on a fastball. 1-1. Ground ball, third, comes up on Longoria. Everybody's going to be safe. The ball sharply hit Evan, ready to try to start a double play, and it came up on him.
And right there, coming off that little lip there, he's down, it comes up, catches him right in the throwing hand off the glove.
A base hit for Puig. A hard hit ball that takes a hop like that. Not much you can do. And Puig has a base hit. Turns into a major threat for the Dodgers. Adrian Gonzalez takes ball 1. The frustrating thing about this is that Moore got ahead of Hernandez 2 strikes and then walked him.
Yeah, and then a bad hop on what very easily could have been a double play ball. You can see continually squeezing that hand. That took that bad hop and hit him directly in that throwing hand.
It's popped up, foul, carries out a play.
And you very rarely on a field like this with the field turf, you know, and then the infield, do you get a bad hop. And usually if you do, it means that that ball on its way down hits the lip and it stays down. That thing came up.
Now 1-2. Gonzalez had a base hit in the third. He's 2 for 9 in his career against Moore. Most of these Dodger hitters seeing Moore for the first time. It's a tap, will be foul. Count still, a ball, 2 strikes. Justin Turner is on deck. Ball headed toward left center. Kiermaier's going to cut it off. And a quick throw back to second. And back in is Hernandez. How about that for an attempt from Kiermaier? He gets over to make the catch and then actually makes a play that was fairly close on Hernandez at second.
Well, watch Hernandez break. As soon as that ball's hit, he goes aggressively towards third. Again, in the scouting report on the raised center fielder, that allows him to throw. Watch him. He's thinking this ball's going to get down, realizing it's not. And then Kiermaier with an athletic throw in. Made it close.
But nicely done by Kiermaier to get the first out.
Well, he's introducing himself to the Los Angeles Dodgers here tonight.
On both sides of the game. Hustled his way into a double. Patrolling center field. Now Turner 1 for 2. Want to know the count. Turner with that leg kick, he really loads up when he gets ready to swing.
He's another guy that has one gear, and it's a big swing.
1-1. Dodgers actually added him more as a utility player, but he's forced his way into the picture there with his production.
It's similar to Logan Forsythe. You get an opportunity to play a position for an extended period of time, and you take full advantage. Now they can't get you out of the lineup.
2-1. Hernandez on second, Puig at first. And Turner with a 2-1 count. He dropped a double up the right field line his last time. The count goes to 2-2. Look at this breaking ball.
It stays up, and Justin Turner sees a hanging curveball and wants to launch. It just stays up above the swing.
Into the dirt. Runner's going to move over to third. Hernandez alertly advances on that pitch in the dirt.
Well, listen, a great read by Hernandez, not a very good read by Puig. This is a breaking ball in the dirt. There's nobody really even holding Puig on, and that ball coming loose. Hernandez, very alert, moves up to third.
Wild pitch charged to Matt Moore, first and third now. The Rays still have a chance at a double play with Puig at first. This one is fouled back. Turner tends to hit the ball into the air a lot. He did ground out to short in the second. The Rays would like to see that duplicated here. We back in there standing up. Two is high. The bases are going to be loaded. Turner heads to first. Puig up to second, already at third. Hernandez and Howie Kendrick will be the hitter. And we've already profiled earlier in the evening how tough he's been against Rays pitching throughout his career.
This has been one of those starts here for Matt Moore where the command has not quite been what we're used to seeing with the fastball, really, or the curveball. Either one.
Rays are going to get bullpen action. Steve Geltz, the righty, is up.
Jim Hickey out there to calm the situation down. So often, very adept at going out there and getting a pitcher back where he needs to be to have success. We see this all the time. You know, Jim Hickey out there makes a visit, comes back, good things happen for the Rays at that point. Let's hope it's the same way here tonight.
Lefties tomorrow as well. Bruce Smiley will do the pitching for the Rays tomorrow. Alex Wood on the hill for Los Angeles. We'll be with you at 6:30. There was a prolonged visit out there by Hickey, and the plate umpire Bob Davidson went out there after he was out of time to move it along, and Hickey prolonged it by talking to Davidson. Oh, a base hit. Kendrick drives it through the left side. Hernandez and Puig score. Turner goes to third, and Kendrick winds up at second. Well, it didn't take him long. He continues to be a major thorn in the side of the Rays.
And look where Desmond Jennings is, and Howie Kendrick's going to take a changeup through there, and that's why that ball is able to get all the way to the wall. Everybody pulled over. Once it gets by Longoria, it is a track meet.
On the first pitch, Kendrick makes it a 5-3 game. Two men in scoring position, infield in. And Thompson takes a pitch high. Ground ball, that's going to get through out of the reach of Forsythe. There's a second runner trying to score, and he is safe at the plate. Turner scored. Kendrick got in there. That was a close play at the plate. The throw was right on top. And now the Dodgers have added two more to make it 7-3.
Boy, Trace Thompson did that on purpose too. Stayed inside it and watch the left, or the foot of Kendrick right there. Gets to the plate just before the tag of Casale. Right there. Left foot on, then the tag. Great throw by Kiermaier. But Kendrick able to sneak in.
Yeah, and you're right about Thompson. What a great job by Thompson. There's a guy that hit the ball off the C ring in the second inning.
Yes.
And now with that infield pulled over to the left, he just beat the defense right there, hitting a ball through the right side. And that's going to be it for Matt Moore. Back in a moment. Brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by your Southern Chevy dealers. Howie Kendrick continues to be very tough on Ray's pitching. Trace Thompson has also contributed tonight for the Dodgers. Between them, they have driven in 6 of the 7 runs and scored 3 of them. Thompson's at first as Steve Geltz takes over, and his first pitch is a strike to A.J. Ellis. Well, the other frustrating thing about this inning in the 5th is that it all started when Hernandez got behind 0-2 and Moore lost him and walked him.
That'll be one of those at-bats that sits with you for a long time because you realize the same thing. I had this guy dead to rights, get the first out of an inning, and go from there. And you let him off the hook, you walk him, and then things get sideways rather quickly.
Well, he had a double play ball that took a bad hop.
Yeah, yeah, that too.
Puig. Inside to Ellis.
That's what hurt him when that last start against the Orioles. It was a 2-out walk. Jonathan Scope with the base hit into right center. Joey Rickard first pitch.
Yep.
That was your ball game. 3 runs.
Runner breaks. The pitch is tapped foul. So Thompson will head back. 4 1/3 for Matt Moore tonight. 96 pitches, 8 hits, 7 runs. He walked 3, struck out 2. Gave up a couple of home runs. Made a wild pitch. One and 2 the count on Ellis. Geltz delivers and strikes him out. Went up with a fastball out of the zone a bit and strikes him out. 2 away.
Center fielder, number 31, Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson, the number 8 hitter in the Dodger lineup, will be the 8th man to come to the plate in this inning. Start and stop off first by Thompson. Pitch is a strike.
Not trying to time up Steve Geltz there on the mound. All you've done is earned his attention at this point.
High foul. That will be out of play. 0-2. Now a tough inning in the 5th for Matt. Frustrating inning. Now the runner goes. The pitch is a ball thrown down. Right there on the bag. Thompson caught stealing. That retires the side. But the Dodgers grab the lead after the Rays tied it in the 4th. Dodgers score 4 in the 5th, and this caught stealing ends it 7-3. inning with Brandon Guyer leading off against Kazmir. Pitch is just a couple of things on that caught stealing. We took another look. You couldn't make a better throw.
Well, tell me who could. I mean, look at that.
Yeah. Little tap by the mound. Going to be a tough play. Kendrick's throw. Bare hand. He got him. Guyer digging for an infield hit, and Kendrick throws out Brandon Guyer.
Now he's going to torment the Rays from the defensive side of things. I thought once this ball got by Kazmir, base hit for Guyer. But look at Kendrick come in, bare hand throw as he's leaving his feet. Well, that is pretty.
Yeah, Howie Kendrick is one of those guys you trade for so you never have to play against him. And that's his story with the Rays for years now. There's Longoria, high pop up. And Kendrick is there to make the catch on this one. So he's making every play in the field as well. You know, the other thing about that caught stealing, Longoria was down there and he got the put out, and a great throw by Casale. Perfect throw. And so the caught stealing at second goes 2-5.
Only in this era of baseball.
That's right.
And you know what? Nice job by Evan. You know, those are plays that you're used to making. You know, but that's part of, if you're going to play these shifts, then responsibilities change. And now Evan Longoria is covering second base, something that is foreign to him. At least he doesn't do it very often.
Here's Steve Pearce getting hold of one. That baby's going to get out of here. Home run for Steve Pearce. Well, the Rays get one of those runs back off speed. Pearce supplying the power. It's his second home run of the year.
He's thrown a lot of off speed to these right-handed hitters, especially early in the count. And Steve Pearce has seen a couple. There's the changeup, and this stays up, and the timing was right there. Not fooled.
Souza, there's a strike. He's had a tough night. Struck out swinging in the first. Struck out looking in the third on a pitch he thought was wide. And that one, I don't know how that didn't hit him. Souza's got to talk to Guyer, because I don't know how you could get out of the way of that pitch.
No,
even when you're trying.
And I don't think Souza Jr. was real happy with that pitch either. You know, A.J. Ellis is set up away. This gets yanked in, and Souza Jr. immediately with a look out there like, what was that all about? Yeah, because you don't know. As the hitter, you don't know where the catcher is. And you think you're coming in way in off the plate like that. There's got to be a purpose to it.
Now 3-1. Steve Pearce has hit the home run in this inning. Second of the year, his first here at the Trop, where he loves to hit. Souza Jr. fouls it away, and the count is full. Well, as disappointing as the top of the fifth inning was, you know, that home run makes it a 3-run game, and there's a lot of baseball to be played tonight.
Absolutely right. Just continue to keep the pressure on.
And strike three call. Souza out for the third time on strikes. And not happy. Talking it over with Bob Davidson. Rays get a run on the Steve Pearce home run. And it's 7-4 Los Angeles. Charlie Montoyo walks off Souza Jr. to keep him out of trouble. Sun is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Trade Winds, the official beach resort of the Tampa Bay Rays. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. 3-run ball game thanks to the home run by Steve Pearce. Steve Gelt's job now is to hold the Dodgers. Jock Peterson leads off. He was at the plate in the 5th when Thompson was thrown out trying to steal. First pitch strike in there to the left-handed hitter. We saw his power in the 2nd. 1-1. Dana Evelyn loosening in the Rays bullpen. High fly ball, center field. Kiermaier going to go to the wall, has room and makes the catch. He got to the warning track, thought he might go all the way back, but he was just short of the fence and made the catch.
Well, he's seen that swing before. Had seen the ball hit in a similar area. Get out in a hurry.
Yeah, and if you have time, easier to come in than it is to go back. One away. Here's Culberson. Yeah, he's going to be lifted. Well, a pinch a penny, pinch hitter. Corey Seager will hit in the place of Culberson. I don't know the count.
Well, this is their mega prospect right here. Now in the big leagues on the bench here tonight because of the left-handed Matt Moore starting this game.
Into center field. Kiermaier right there. Little Getty up on that route, and he takes care of the pinch hitter Seager. Yeah, Seager hit .337 in just under 30 games last year, and the Dodgers really like what they see in his future.
And he's a bigger shortstop. You know, that's the thing. He's got some size to him, some power.
Yeah, some people project him as sort of a Ripken type. Pretty good projection.
Yeah, well, I mean, take it.
One strike to count on Hernandez. Hernandez started the 4-run 5th. He got down 0-2 and then walked. High popper. Longoria at 3rd, making the catch. A 1-2-3 6th. Rays coming in to hit, down by 3. Dodgers came right back with 2 in the second on Trace Thompson's home run off the C-ring. They also got a long one from Peterson to make it 3-1. Kurt Casale's 2-out, 2-run home run in the fourth tied it. The end of 4, it was 3-3, but in the 5th, Howie Kendrick's 2-base hit drove in 2. Trace Thompson followed with a base hit to score 2 more, with Turner and Kendrick scoring. The Rays now down 7-4, batting in the bottom of the 6th inning. Scott Kazmir facing Desmond Jennings and gets ahead of him with a strike. It's now 1-1. Corey Seager stays on to play shortstop. Roller off his foot, foul ball. 1-2.
Well, Steve Geltz gave the Rays exactly what they needed. A quick scoreless inning, get that offense back in. You've still got a few more cracks at it. Down by just 3 runs. Have already come back from a 2-run deficit here tonight. And you get the feeling that this game is far from over.
Fly ball right center field. Puig is there to make the catch, and Jennings is retired. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Tim Beckham's on his way to the plate. Joe Blanton loosening in the bullpen for the Dodgers as Kazmir closes in, not quite to 90 pitches. He's coming off a 113 pitch outing against Miami his last time. That's a strike. John Marinez throwing in the bullpen for the Rays up the right field line now. So a quick shot of him. Beckham did go, says Bob Davidson. Beckham said, well, why don't you wait on the call and check with the Lance Barrett down at first. Davidson made the call himself.
Because he didn't go. I mean, he certainly was leaning out there. That was close, but Bob Davidson jumping all over that. And now Tim Beckham finds himself in a hole. Bob Davidson, I think, still talking to him, which is not good.
1-2. Well, Charlie Montoyo had to walk Souza off the plate and back to the dugout when he was caught out on strikes to end the 5th. So the Rays hitters registering some complaints. 2-2 now, the count on Beckham. It's Kevin Kiermaier on deck. And he's out in front. Beckham on the changeup. Another strikeout posted. It's number 8 for Kazmir.
That was a very good changeup, and he's not afraid to use that pitch with 2 strikes. I mean, he'll go to the slider, but that changeup also a weapon to try to put a hitter away, and he does it very well right there.
2 outs with the bases empty for Kevin Kiermaier. 1-0. Did he go? And Dale Scott says no.
I'd be careful in there. I'd be careful up in there if I'm Scott Kazmir. See Kiermaier turn and burn on some of those fastballs middle in.
2-2. Lifted into center, and Peterson will come in for this one. It's a 1-2-3, 6th inning. The first one of those we've seen from Kazmir tonight. 7-4.
The Reds introduce the new Republic.
Martinez takes over. Moore worked 4 1/3. Geltz an inning and 2/3. And now the hard-throwing right-hander Martinez in there. High-octane fastball and a slider. You face Puig, Gonzalez, and Turner in the 7th inning. Well, Puig, 25 years old. Reached base on a hit on the bad hop. What could have been a double play ball turned out to be a base hit instead because of the bad hop in the 5th inning. So he's 1 for 3, and he takes a strike from Martinez. Lets it loose, both Martinez and Puig. Mid-90s with a fastball and a big swing by Puig. Close to him. Puig last year limited to 79 games. A couple of trips to the disabled list. He had hamstring problems in both his left and right hamstrings last year. High chop. Martinez waiting. Unloads a low throw, and Pierce scoops it. Nice job at first base by Steve Pierce.
We've seen that a couple of times here tonight, making a scoop to save a potential error. Juan Martinez, you can bet that heart rate goes way up here. You wait for this thing to come down, and then you turn and throw it right into the dirt. Just chalk that up to another throw that we see from a pitcher to first base that does not go according to plan.
We can get down that line, and that ball is taking its good old time coming back down to Martinez. And a great play on the receiving end by Pierce. Adrian Gonzalez. It's a strike. Gonzalez line to center in the 5th inning. Kimmerer made a nice play on that ball. 1-1. 2-1. Gonzalez out of San Diego. Up originally with Texas, had a long run with the Padres. A couple of years in Boston and then on to the Dodgers. Count is 2-2. Swinging and missing on that one. Casale's going to have to go down to first to complete the strikeout. So 2 outs in the 7th inning. Let's check in with Todd Callis.
Dwayne, there he is, the face of the franchise here for so many years, back in the Devil Rays days and part of the transition to the American League Championship team in '08. In our Coors Light cold hard facts, you will see that Carl Crawford still is the all-time franchise leader in a number of categories. Evan Longoria may catch him in the hits and runs column next year, but CC's lead in triples and stolen bases may never be eclipsed. 105 steals, the next closest is 105 triples, next closest is 32. In the stolen base category, he's up by over 150 as well, guys.
Good, thank you. Justin Turner grounds out third to first. 7th inning stretch time. 7-4 LA. On to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Rays trailing by 3. Kurt Casale's 2-run home run in the 4th tied it briefly at 3 before the Dodgers scored 4 in the 5th. So the Rays with 3 shots left. And Kurt Casale will lead it off. Scott Kazmir through 6 innings tonight has given the Rays 4 runs and 6 hits. Walk also in the mix. It's upstairs. Kazmir out here with 97 pitches after 6. 1-0 the count to Casale. Casale got up 3-1 and he knew what to do with this pitch.
Contact says it all.
Tapper up the third base line. That's a foul ball, just foul. Bob Davidson, the plate umpire, making the call.
Well, the Rays haven't been very fond of a lot of calls tonight by Bob Davidson. That ball rolling, foul, foul, foul.
Ooh.
That is close. You see that. You see the line right there come up from the glove.
All Kevin Cash can do is ask about that. It's in front of the bag down there.
Yeah, cannot be challenged. You know, I think if Justin Turner lets that ball a couple more revolutions, it's going to end up foul, but he maybe went after that thing a little bit too soon.
It's 2-2. Blanton continues to loosen. Full count. Sally, full count. Look in the second inning, caught looking, then 3-1 in the fourth, hit the home run. 3-2 this time.
You know, the way that we see starting rotations run nowadays, I'm kind of surprised that Kazmir is even out here to start this.
Know where you're going with that.
You know, right around 100 pitches, 6 innings of good work. Guy just homered off him in his last at-bat. Right-handed hitters galore coming up.
He's coming off 113 pitches. The last time out, 88 the time before that. High infield pop. Kendrick is there to make the catch. The entire Dodger infield converging on that. Kazmir was getting out of there. The infield converging, and Kendrick probably played here about as much as anybody on that infield. Made the catch. Logan Forsythe. Pitch upstairs.
This is like a game out of the 80s or 90s. Starting pitcher is giving up 4 runs. Has the lead. Over 100 pitches and fourth time now through the lineup. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, how is this happening?
I don't know.
1-1 to count.
Well, outside of a couple of mistakes from Scott Kazmir, it cost him 3 runs on homers. He mixed his pitches well here tonight.
1-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. Brandon Geyer, the on-deck man.
And now you start to think about maybe coming back with that changeup here. Fastball up. And here it comes.
Yeah, that one, kind of knew that was on its way once he delivered it.
And did you see, you know, the way his reaction? Because you go fastball up, looked like Logan maybe wanted to swing at it, took it, okay, changed eye level, and it was hard. Let's go change up here, and you just don't execute the pitch.
And he strikes him out, comes back with a fastball 3-2 to strike him out.
You know, those last 3 pitches, that's kind of what Scott Kazmir has done here tonight. You know, the elevated fastball, then soft, back to fastball, just back and forth. A ton of swings and misses on balls away from right-handed hitters. But you know what? He opened that up by coming in early in the game, making these righties aware that he was not going to be afraid to pitch in, and that's opened up the outside corner for him as the game's moved along.
Broken bat, ground ball. Seager cannot get rid of it, and Geyer has an infield hit on the broken bat. So the Rays pick up a base runner with 2 outs. And That's going to bring Dave Roberts out. Here's another look at that broken bat infield hit.
Justin Turner just couldn't get to it, playing too shallow, and Seager couldn't get a handle on it.
Pitching change coming for the Dodgers here in the 7th. Arms, Matt Moore, the Rays starter, 4 1/3, 8 hits, 7 runs. Kazmir, 6 2/3, 4 runs, 7 hits, with 9 strikeouts and a walk. Responsible for a man on as he departs. And he's replaced by the 35-year-old right-hander Joe Blanton. Second time around for Blanton with the Dodgers. He's been with Oakland and the Phillies, the Angels, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and now the Dodgers again. First pitch, soft pitch in there for a strike on the outside part of the plate.
And Joe Blanton, much of his career as a starting pitcher, now coming out of the bullpen. You saw his numbers on the season. Done a nice job for Dave Roberts coming out of that pit.
1-1. Dodgers signed him in January of this year. Gets Evan reaching. Slider again. Rays leave a man onto the 8th. 7-4 Dodgers. Game show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Orestes will break down Adrian Gonzalez and J.P. Howell in the Dodgers bullpen there. We'll hear from J.P. That'll be fun. All on Rays Live, the pregame.
Who's going to translate? That's all I want to know. Who is going to translate J.P. Howell into English?
That will be interesting.
Will be.
One strike to count on Kendrick. Martinez had a 1-2-3-7. Kendrick, Thompson, and Ellis. Two and one. 7-8-0 for the Dodgers, 4-7-0 for the Rays. Dodgers have left 3, the Rays have stranded 5. Another hit for Kendrick. Boy, I don't know what it is. Kendrick is 3 for 4 tonight. He continues to be murder against the Rays.
Yeah, and it's not like he's beaten up a bad pitching staff. I mean, this year in and year out, the Rays are putting together a tremendous staff, and he's still able to have success.
It's strange how that happens.
It really is.
I mean, the Rays are expert at figuring out how to get hitters out. They can't figure out how to get him out.
And it's different pitchers. You know, it's not like, the uniform's the same. Not all the pitchers are the same.
Yep. And
he just still finds ways to get that ball into the outfield safely. Had a big hit here tonight.
Thompson fouls it. Now 1-1. Orioles lead the Yankees in the top of the 8th in Baltimore. That's 4-1. Top of the 8th in Toronto. Texas has a 1-0 lead. 1-0 lead on the Blue Jays. Now it's 1-2 to Thompson. And the White Sox 2 and the Red Sox 1. It's the bottom of the 5th in Chicago. The right side foul. Took the slider that way. Geltz and Martinez for the Braves. Casimir, Blanton for the Dodgers. Pedro Baez throwing in the bullpen. Stays in. Attempted that slider. A.J. Ellis on deck. 8th inning of this game. And a swing and a miss. Thompson out on strikes. Mid-90s fastball does the job. Second strikeout for Martinez. We'll be with you tomorrow for the second game of this 2-game set. Wrap up with the homestand. 6:30 airtime, and it's another Web Wednesday. So sharpen those questions.
Yeah, we had 2 last week.
Yeah.
Yep.
1 for each other.
So get them ready. Goodness. 2. That's what we had. 2.
A.J. Ellis takes a strike.
And if I remember correctly, that ball game wasn't exactly a barn burner. So we could have used a few more.
Yep.
And we ended up with 2.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. If the game is really hot, we'll do it. If it's a barn burner, then we will encourage question after question. How's that?
Let's start making them up.
1-1 the count to Ellis.
You know, hey, here's a question from Peter from Brooksville. Something like that.
I got you. Yeah, why not? Adam Liebertorb is busy in the bullpen, the lefty down the left field line. We invite Ken from Kansas City to ask a question. 1-1 to count on Ellis.
Anything to entertain.
Ken dropped by the booth earlier today. Ground ball up the middle. One play at first. Into second goes Kendrick. Forsythe throws out Ellis.
We'll see Logan Forsythe coming over to the shortstop side. There's just no chance to get anything there in the lead runner, Kendrick.
Pitching change coming with Peterson due up. We'll be back in a moment. Yellowwood bringing the lumber, and he has done that in his young career, including a shot to center field back in the second inning tonight on a 3-1 pitch. Turned around 95 and hit it out. It's in to face Dana Evelyn, pitcher number 4 for the Rays. The pitch is a strike. Dodgers have Howie Kendrick, the base runner, at second with 2 gone, as Evelyn makes his 9th appearance. One and one. Strikes on that slider.
How about that swing on that slider? Jock Peterson. This is one of those instances where you see the hole in the swing. You know, he's been kind of leaning back the entire at-bat. Has that tendency at times to pull off of the baseball, and he certainly did right there. I don't think you do anything different here if you're Dana Evelyn.
Peterson lays off 2-2.
Can he do it 2 more times? That's what I'd be telling myself if I'm Danny Evelyn. Yeah, sure, he took it there. Can he do it another couple times?
Strike 3 call. Takes that one. And Evelyn retires the Dodgers in the 8th. 7-4 LA. In the bottom half of the 8th. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. Todd Arestis and Doug anchoring the coverage. First pitch here is a strike. Was that a strike or a ball? Ball, I guess. There's a strike, and it's 1-1 to Steve Pearce. Pearce homered in the 5th. He's 2 for 3 tonight. He's made a couple of outstanding plays at first base, and now he faces Joe Blanton. Right back by Blanton, but who else? Howie Kendrick is there, and he throws out Pearce. Look at this.
Wow. I mean, it wrapped right around Blanton. Maybe an extra walk around the mound.
Wow. Steven Souza Jr. lifts a fly ball back toward left center, gets some carry, but Peterson's there to catch it. 2 gone in the 8th. Post game will have the press conference from the Rays skipper. Emily Austin will be in the clubhouse providing interviews. We'll hear from Kevin Cash. Jennings, after the first pitch, pops it up. Turner from third makes the catch. And a 1-2-3-8. On to the 9th we go. 7-4 Los Angeles. sixth inning will lead off the ninth for the Dodgers. Tonight's Let's Motor Player Profile brought to you by BMW Mini. Seager, just 22 years old, young man out of North Carolina, lives in Kannapolis. His older brother plays for the Mariners, and the youngest opening day shortstop for the Dodgers since Gene Mauch in 1944 played shortstop. It was the year of the All St. Louis World Series, and Seager punches a base hit through the left side against the lefty Dana Evelyn.
Well, he comes into the ball game to pinch hit in the sixth, promptly hits a rope to center field that's run down by Kiermaier, and then waiting on the breaking ball here and just ripping it into left field.
And the Rays are going to make a pitching change with the top of the order coming up there. We'll be right back. Former champions and knockout masters finally meet in the octagon when Alistair Overeem takes on Andre Orlovsky. Plus, it's a battle of the giants between Bigfoot and Struve. It's all at a special time, 11 a.m. Eastern, Sunday morning, May 8th, only on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Well, Carl Crawford's going to come off the bench with Ryan Webb entering the game. And Crawford will pinch hit here for Hernandez. Crawford takes it for a ball. Injuries have played a major role in Crawford's time with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Crawford, of course, drafted when he was 17 by then the Devil Rays, and his name is written throughout the club record book. On hot, and it gets away through Forsythe and into right. Seager moves up to second. Crawford is aboard.
Yeah, I think Logan Forsythe there sniffing a double play ball. Pulled up just a little too quick on that shot there by Crawford. Kind of positioning himself, and you see the glove come up a hair too soon, and it sneaks underneath.
Well, that's what Webb was looking for. A double play possibility. Now he faces Puig. 2 on with nobody out. Strike 1. Forsythe charged with his second error of the year. Two on that foul ball. Finley Jensen, the bullpen for the Dodgers. It's a 3-run game right now. Jensen is their closer. Rays have utilized Matt Moore, Steve Geltz, John Marinez, Dana Evelyn, and now Ryan Webb. And a long one to left. Way back and gone. An 0-2 pitch. Puig belts a 3-run home run. His third home run of the year. So the Dodgers, taking advantage of the miscue, promptly put 3 on the board on the home run.
Now this is a breaking ball that just kind of hung, didn't get it. You see right there, Kurt Casale reaching back across the plate. And when you do that, typically bad things are going to happen. And that ball got launched. Wow.
That makes it a 10-4 game. Gonzalez hits it the other way against the shift. Nobody over there. Longoria, the lone man on the left side. And that was right to the normal third base position.
Too easy. We well documented that Adrian Gonzalez will use the whole field. And against the sinker baller, he gets one down and away with nobody over there. I mean, that's easy. Too easy.
No outs in the inning with Justin Turner in the batter's box. Turner with a double and a walk. Run scored. 1 strike to count on him here. Two. Ball, 2 strikes. J.P. Howell, former Ray, now up in the bullpen, replacing Jensen. Two and 2 the count. Turner swings and misses. He's out of there. That's the first out of the inning. And in steps Howie Kendrick, who has 3 hits to lead the Dodger attack tonight. They have 12 hits, and he has 3 of them with 2 runs batted in and 2 runs scored. Strike 1. A bit low with that delivery, and it's 1-1.
The Dodgers here with 10 runs in this ball game. Dwayne, they scored 10 runs in their last 6 games coming into this ball game.
Ground ball through the left side. Gonzalez went ahead to third. Throw back into second. So Kendrick has a 4-hit night.
Kendrick finds another hole, and Adrian Gonzalez, you know, with that play happening right out in front of him, as you see the pitch down and in. Kendrick drops the head, gets it into left field, and Adrian Gonzalez watching that happen out in front of him, realizing not exactly looking to go to third right there, but taking advantage of Desmond Jennings out there in left and getting over into third.
So here's Thompson. A strike. First and third with 1 out. 3 runs have scored on the home run by Puig. One and one. One and two. So 7 charged to Moore, 1 run to Evelyn, 2 charged to Webb. Two and two. Howie Kendrick, who has had a 4-hit night, came into this game with 8 hits all year. This is his first multi-hit game of the year. We're just waiting. Tapper foul. Baltimore beat the Yankees 4-1. Final in Baltimore. Tillman wins his third. He's 3-1. Severino, the loser, 0-4. Trumbo, a pair of home runs in that game. He has 8 now for Baltimore.
Well, they're reporting that Alex Rodriguez came out of the ball game with a hamstring injury and is going to undergo an MRI tomorrow.
Another MRI for A-Rod.
This Yankee team just reeling right now, and for the most part, they've been relatively healthy.
They're now 8-16. Swing and a miss. Thompson missed the 3-2 slider. So both outs recorded by Webb have come on strikes.
There's that breaking ball again. Starts to sweep away from Thompson out of the strike zone. Those pitches can be so effective just because of the amount of ground that they cover, sweeping like that. We saw Dana Evelyn do that to Jock Peterson.
1-0 the count to Ellis. Ground ball. Forsythe right there and makes the throw to first to retire the Dodgers in the 9th, but they add 3 and lead 10-4. The Dodgers have found a combination to the home plate safe. They've scored 10 runs tonight. They had been struggling offensively. 10 runs, 13 hits. The Rays 4 runs, 7 hits, and they'll face J.P. Howell, the former Ray, making his 11th appearance. He follows Kazmir and Blanton. And here is Tim Beckham. Swinging and missing for a strike.
Yeah, we know JP well, not going to overpower you, but he pitches with a lot of guts and has a tremendous swing and miss curveball.
One and one. Well, some nostalgia in this game with some of the former Rays now in Dodger uniforms coming into play. We touched on that at the outset. Fly ball to center. Peterson is there. Beckham first out. Flashback of J.P. Howell in a Rays uniform for both 6 through 12. 252 games. There he is in the Dodger colors. Interestingly enough, Scott Kazmir, Joe Blanton, and J.P. Howell pitching tonight for the Dodgers. And all three of those pitched in the 2008 World Series. Blanton, you'll recall, was with the Phillies. Kazmir and Howell part of that 08 team for the Rays. In fact, Blanton hit a home run in that series in Philadelphia. One and one, the count. Kiermaier, did he go or not? He held up. 2 and 1. Ball right field. He's got some hang time. Long run, and Puig is there. 2 up and 2 down against J.P. Howell.
Yeah, those are tough plays right there. That ball hangs up there for a long time. You've got a long way to run, and you've got to be able to put the brakes on. Not overrun these pop-ups. Watch how far Puig has to come and then slam on the brakes and make the catch.
Well, Kurt Casale homered back in the 4th, and at the time it tied the game at 3. Now he hits with the bases empty in the 9th and takes a ball. The starting pitchers, the pitchers of record in this game. Two and 0 the count. This game started 2 lefties. We'll have 2 lefties tomorrow. And 2 and 1. Three and 1. J.P. Howell 9th in terms of longest service time with the Rays. Carl Crawford edges out Evan Longoria still. But JP in the top 10. Sally tried to check and did, so he draws the walk.
Pitch recognition there by Casale, a full count breaking ball. What a strange game. The Rays pitching staff so solid most of the time. This is the first time they've given up runs in the double digits. You just don't see that very often at all.
Logan Forsythe makes that pitch up. That's only the second walk the Rays have drawn tonight. Longoria walked against Kazmir in the third. Now the 2-out walk by Casale off JP Howell. It's ball 2. Casale takes second. Doing one.
Yeah, the 2 walks. The Rays came into tonight's game tied for last in Major League Baseball in walks taken. Just not a part of their game plan, really.
It's an aggressive team.
The most aggressive swinging team.
Foul ball. Nice pickup there. Brought his glove. Staying till the bitter end, as it turns out. And it pays dividends. Nice play.
Glove side, strong with the lean.
He acts as if he's done it before. I like that.
He probably has.
Oh, pretty close. And now the count is full on Logan Forsythe. Lightning beat the Islanders 5-4 in overtime to go up 2-1 in that series. Now the 3-2. Here's ball 4. The Rays have 2 men on. That gives Brandon Geyer an opportunity. Ellis spending some time with Howell out there. Talking about that list of service time. Crawford, then Longoria and Zobrist, the top 3. And then JP Howell, as we mentioned, 9th on the list. Kazmir, Scott Kazmir, who pitched tonight, would be 11th in longest service time with the Rays. Brandon Geyer takes a strike. Lightning Live, the post game, will be coming your way immediately following Rays Live, the post game, following a Lightning win over the Islanders 5-4 in overtime. One and one. Geyer hit by a pitch and scored back in the first inning when the Rays took a 1-0 lead. Now he's down 1-2 to Howell. Two and two. Geyer had an infield hit to short in the 7th. So he's been on twice. Sends it off his foot. Yeah, you're talking about the Rays, a few walks, an aggressive team, a lot of swings and misses. And that's the trend that we've talked a little bit about that you see around the game. A lot of swing and misses and aggressive approaches at the plate.
You don't see too many guys that, you know, the old school 2 strikes, cut down on your swing, put the ball in play, try to make something happen. You don't see that much anymore. You really don't. I mean,
yeah,
big swings all around.
I think if you get down 2 strikes, keep swinging, you might hit a home run, I guess.
Yeah, right. But you're seeing it from guys who are going to hit like 8. You know, like once every 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, that's the trend. We're seeing it all over the place. The strikeout numbers are so inflated.
The looper into center, going to fall for a base hit, and the bases are going to be loaded. So with 2 outs, a couple walks, and now a base hit by Geyer. And the Rays will get Evan Longoria to the plate.
Well, and I'm sure that Dave Roberts, the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, you know, once he set Kenley Jansen down, probably was thinking not even close to having to bring him in a ball game.
But he's back up.
Yes, he is. And hey, listen, you got a long way to go. 6 runs, there's 2 outs in the inning.
Rick Honeycutt, pitching coach, spending time with J.P. Howell. And there is Kenley Jansen back up again. Evan has doubled in walks. Since then has popped out to second and struck out. And gets a look at J.P. Howell. That's a ball. Taken for a strike. Evan trying to get a bunch back in a hurry on the breaking ball and missed it. Down 1-2. And that one hits him. So Longoria hit by a pitch on another breaking ball. That's going to get Casale home to make it 10-5.
Takes this one a little bit further down and in, and it catches that back foot, that back ankle.
Well, Steve Pearce is due up, and that's going to get Dave Roberts out of the dugout. He's going to go to the mound here. J.P. Howell got the first 2 men, and he'll depart. They're going to go to the closer. Game 2 of the series tomorrow night. Wrap-up game of the homestand. We'll be with you at 6:30. And Drew Smyly with a 1.29 ERA spread over his last 3 starts will be on the hill for the Rays.
And the way that he's been throwing, you're surprised it's that high. I mean, that's how good he has shown himself to be. So, well, the Rays, another good pitching matchup. Smiley's overall season numbers, that opponent's average is just outstanding. I mean, 151, and you're that many starts into a season.
Kenley Jansen, the closer, suddenly finds himself in a save situation. It's 10-5. Potential tying run is on deck. And Corey Dickerson will pinch hit. And he takes the first pitch too high. Jansen has not pitched since the 29th of April against San Diego, when he pitched an inning and gave up 2 hits and a run.
Can't argue with those numbers across the board.
And Dickerson, a big cut down to a knee. Strike 1, 1-1.
And one thought on the mind of Corey Dickerson: get a pitch to drive. He's 2 for 3 against him in his career, and put a big swing on it. See what happens. Make this thing real interesting.
And another big cut and a miss. Well, you know what's on Dickerson's mind. It's 1-2 now.
Well, a lot of times we've seen him take that big swing and drop down to a knee. Right there was a little bit of a stumble. Little cut fastball right there up in the zone. Down to your last shot.
Bases loaded. 10-5 the score. Bottom of the 9th. It's popped into shallow left center. Thompson is there, and that ends the ball game. The Rays put up a 2-out battle in the 9th inning. They score 1 and fall in this first game of a 2-game set. 10-13-0 for the Dodgers. For the Rays, 5 runs on 8 hits. Casper will win it. Moore takes the loss in the first game of this series. We'll be with you tomorrow for the wrap-up game. Drew Smyly against Alex Wood. Our coverage begins at 6:30. For Brian Anderson and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stats, hope you've enjoyed the telecast and not the outcome. Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers, comes your way next.